Now, Nigeria currently has only 24,000 licensed medical doctors available in the country, which is less than 10% of the number needed to meet a WHO recommendation. Now, given the fact that there are only 24,000 doctors available, the current doctor-patient ratio is 1:9. A stark contrast with WHO's recommendation of 1 doctor to 600 patients. Now, with 218 million people to cater for, Nigeria requires at least 363,000 additional doctors to meet this target. The Minister of Health, Osage Hanire, has said that to address the brain drain in the sector, the federal government is setting up a mechanism to engage Nigerian doctors and nurses in diaspora and connect them to university and hospitals in the country. Now, speaking in Abuja on Tuesday at the 17th edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration's scorecard series, he lamented that experienced doctors were leaving the country. Now, we have in the studio to discuss how to address the dearth of medical doctors, Professor Abdusalami Nasidi, OON, Chairman, Rich Care Foundation, and former Executive Director, ECOWAS CDC, joining us joining us in the studio. Good morning and thank you.
Good morning.
For joining us. All right, and we also have joining us via Zoom is Dr. Halima Sadia Gumi, consultant pediatrician, working in Royal Devon University Hospital, UK, and founder of Concerned Medics Foundation, an NGO that looks at innovative ways in supporting healthcare in Nigeria.
Prof,
all right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Me too.
We've had this concern about the death of medical doctors in this country, and it's a good thing that this minister is admitting it. In the same country, when this issue was raised before, another medical practitioner who is the Minister of Labor, he created the impression that we had too many doctors and we don't know what to do with them, that in fact some of them can take to tailoring and other skills. Is that, I mean, given the statistics, how terrible is the situation in Nigeria?
Well, the situation is there. It's critical. We can say that because, as the introductory message indicated, that the ratio of doctor to population, as prescribed by WHO, is far below, what is really existing in Nigeria. So, if what is required is 1 doctor to 600. One nurse to 1,200 population, and what we're having now is about 1 doctor to 6,000. It's about 10 times more. Okay, in some states it's even 1 doctor to 80,000 or 60,000. So the situation is very, very critical, and it impacts on virtually everything, because it's not just having the doctors that matters, but having the access to the doctors. For instance, God forbid bad thing now, someone here has or develops cardiac arrest. So the next thing we would like to do is that person will have 5 minutes for resuscitation to bring him at least to be able to say, okay, we can save him, let's rush him to a medical center. So if the nearest medical center will take you 10-15 minutes, the chance that that guy will survive is, still, maybe from 80%, it now comes to 60%. By the time you come to the medical center and there's no doctor there, you can imagine that the chance that you survive will be less than 10% or even 15%. So, but most of the time when we are talking of, doctors living for greener pastures, we forget that nurses are very, very important component of health delivery. In fact, in many countries, the quality of endpoint medical service, quality of service in medicine, it depends a lot on the quality of doctors and the healthcare workers. But in the real sense, that real, medical touch to the patient, that endpoint quality, depends a lot on the nurses. Nurses are so important. So what we're having now is we are actually, having existential problem, in health sector. It's not a question of whether there are many doctors in the country or there are not many doctors. The question is how many doctors are in service, providing the service. Some doctors get frustrated. They leave medical service and go into other areas. Like they do business or they sell medical, this and so on and so forth. And some just, leave the country. Not even to go and practice medicine, but to practice something else. So if you are talking of paucity in, medical personnel, we should look at it holistically, from the lack of enough doctors to take care of the population, and also the draining of those who really give the hand-on service, the nurses and others.
Okay, so but what are the consequences of this brain drain on a country like Nigeria, on the economy of a country like Nigeria?
Okay, so I start by the famous saying that health is wealth. So a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. All countries in the world that really want to move forward and make progress, they fight for three things. One is how to pull their population out of poverty. Very important. The second one is how to provide health service to more than 80% of their population. And then the third one is how to feed them. If you have hungry people, you have a hungry nation. You have sick people, you have unhealthy nation and poor nation. And if you don't have the infrastructure to provide these services, then you are in real trouble. So the impact is on everything. If your health system is not working, you don't have good health service. That means you can't guarantee the well-being, the well-being of your citizens. Well, what starts from you being having this well-beingness is to be well-fed, to be in full health when you wake up, and to have good environment to exist.
Okay, good morning, Dr. Alima.
Good morning.
Yes, please. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. You have listened to Professor in the studio enumerate one or two challenges we have, whether it is in terms of numbers or the quantity we seem to be losing to the diaspora. You run a foundation, of concerned medics, an NGO that looks at innovative ways in supporting healthcare in Nigeria. What are those innovative ways, really, that you think an NGO like yours can support the provision of quality healthcare in Nigeria, even though you work in the diaspora?
Right. Yeah, thank you for having me. Sorry, I have my video off because I'm at work at the moment.
It's fine.
But I was actually in Nigeria about 3 weeks ago. So one of the innovative ways we're looking at, because even though as a Nigerian, I'm a doctor in the diaspora, you still have friends and family back in Nigeria, and we're constantly worried about, if they are unwell. And we're constantly getting phone calls and, please advise, what can you do, a doctor. So this was why actually the foundation started up, thinking about how can we, even though we're in diaspora, support the doctors that are there that are overwhelmed, and looking after our friends' family. So one of the innovative ways is now the telemedicine, because now I'm talking to you from England and, we're chatting. So can we use such innovative ways like telemedicine to be able to maybe even support the doctors there? If they have any serious case, we can come online and see it. So even now with technology, you can actually, some are even performing surgery remotely, by assisting. So if you've got a surgeon in America, you can assist another surgeon in Nigeria to perform complex surgeries. So this is how far technology has gone. So we can actually use technology to see how we can improve, the health
So,
the other thing also we're looking into is exactly what the minister has said. How can we, now if I'm coming to visit my family, I can take in a year. If all of us say we take 2 weeks in a year to come and support and teach, so it's not just, one off, you have continuous rotation of doctors. When they come home to visit, at the same time they can use that opportunity to support, maybe whether it's a teaching hospital, training, and maybe almost have a timetable. But we can't do that. I'm really happy to hear this news, because a lot of us over here, we do want to come back and support. But we can't do it. We can't just pick our bags and say, oh, I'm coming to National Hospital to teach. If there's a system where it's already been organized, then I'm sure you will see a lot of doctors coming back.
okay, Dr. Alima, well, what kind of, you talk about a system that is already organized. How many of such NGOs like yours do you think are making this effort to establish this kind of handshake? Because clearly, ours is a critical situation. We need all the help in the world that we can get. Are there also efforts that on your part that doesn't necessarily have to rely on government, to make this medium available, rather than wait for all of the bureaucracies, that could slow down how immediate some of this help can become available to Nigerians?
Yeah. So actually, as part of my, foundation, 3 years ago, and because we didn't really get much support from the government, so what we did was we just got some donation. Even so, now we've just when I came to Nigeria, we had got telemedicine machine from America from a donation. So this machine would enable doctors to come into Barodiko when they're doing clinics for us to support them. So, this is kind of one of the things. I don't know of any other NGO that is doing, but obviously our own Concerned Medics Foundation, this is what we've done so far.
All right, Prof, let's come back to you now. Dr. Sadia actually talked about telemedicine and, when they're in the country coming in to teach, which is attributed to what Osagio Ehanire has actually said. But do we need more knowledge or more doctors? And who's to say that these doctors that are actually going to be taught aren't planning their exits as well?
I think that's a very important question. It's like, having leakage in a container, and you did not address the leakages. You are actually, trying to pour more water into the container. But I have to seize this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Sadia for, this great initiative, because it's a way forward. It's a way of addressing the issue of technology transfer in healthcare. And I strongly believe that when they say technology transfer, it's not just bringing the equipment and also, but bringing the knowledge from brain to brain. Right. And I think that is what she's saying, and what the minister said could work if we, pursue it seriously. So, but you're absolutely right. It doesn't address fully the reasons why the doctors are leaving. Why are doctors leaving? Why are nurses leaving? Why is it that the Nigerian government have not been able to find the solution, to stop it? It's a global thing, but many countries have moved in improving the conditions of service of their, healthcare workers, that doesn't attract them to go to greener pastures. So if you say, you will bring in doctors to do this, technical upgrade of our existing medical team here, and you show them how to do it, everything, but what you are using in the country you are, UK, US, this is, you have sophisticated equipment, you have, your health center is well equipped, everything. Then you teach them, then you go, and they go back to their place of work. This is not working, that is not available, the equipments are not there. So in Hausa, as they say, we are back to square one. So this is what we're afraid that, it's a very good way of, getting what they call professional continuous training. If the doctors in diaspora who have exposure to modern technology, modern science, can use tele medicine at any ICT, technology to impact on our doctors coming, that would be really, really a good thing. But the tragedy will be that after they have done that and they've gone, and the trained doctors don't have the equipment to, the facilities to work with. Then, one of the most critical issues, that should be addressed is, the remunerations. Even yesterday I read some of the consultants have not been paid their allowances, and to provide quality health service in any country, in any medical establishment, first and foremost, you need quantity of the healthcare workers to be enough. Then out of this, you need quality, because quantity translates to quality. Right. And the qualitative aspect of the healthcare service is like I was saying, cardiac arrest, they rush to the hospital, everything. Doctors are there, nurses are there, but the expert that knows exactly how to save the life is not there. Or the expert is there, he knows what to do, he knows how to save the life, he doesn't have the equipment. This is not working. The resuscitator is not working. The cardiac, this is not working. So these are the tragedy of the Nigerian medical story, that it is faceted.
Dr. Prof, I would like us to transition this conversation to what the solutions would be. What do you see in the horizon? Is it a complete lack of information on what we need to do? I mean, in other words, is it that the government doesn't appreciate how much effort needs to go in? I mean, 1 to 6,000, 1 to 9,000 doctors in some place, 1 to 80,000 means we should be producing more than
doctors
we currently do have. That's on the one part. The second part is for me that the conversation around every time around how poor educational systems are, but every time we produce these professionals, they become the brides and darling of other nations, which means there's something good still left back home. Do we have the mechanisms to produce as many of these doctors? And can we, for instance, even make this a deliberate migration policy? If we can sell crude, perhaps we can ship out more doctors who would in turn bring in more FDIs to support our operation. Is this a conversation that happens around your cycle?
Absolutely. I think even if we don't know what to do immediately, but we have lessons to learn from. Countries that suffered the same fate like us, and later transformed it from that brain drain to brain gain, like India, like Malaysia, like other places, and so on and so forth. Then there's the Cuba model, there's Israel model, and there are other Asian models that we can really learn from. First and foremost, you are absolutely right. If you need 10,000 naira and you have 5,000, you don't raise hard to get the remaining 5,000. It's either you go to the bank and borrow, or with high interest, or you go and do some hard work in the market and start taking load until you get the remaining money. So Nigeria has to just go that Indian way, I believe. Very smart, Russian way at the beginning. Go for mass production of doctors and nurses. We need more.
Compromising quality, yeah?
Exactly. If we produce more, keep on producing more. Currently, we're producing about 3,000 doctors per annum. As we're producing more doctors, so also is our population growing. If last year we were 209, now this year we're 214. By 2050, it's estimated Nigerian population will be about almost 311 or 299. We shall be the third or fourth most populated country in the world.
That's right.
So the number of doctors and nurses you need will increase. So there is need to quickly rush, establishing institutions that will help us to produce more doctors, more nurses. Luckily, this is happening already. Federal government has established so many medical universities. We hope they will equip them. They will, fund the training facility. Many states are also doing. I always talk of Bielsa. The former governor Dixon did it. He started like a joke, but now he has a medical university. In Kano, my state, the governor Ganduje, started one medical school. They said, he cannot handle it, and so on. But when he saw, the problem, the health problem of the disease, he said, we need even more.
That's
So
right.
it's adding additional one at the Aliko Dangote University. So luckily also many states are doing this now. So but the most important is that government alone can't do it. There's need for public-private partnership. In many states already, I'm very proud to see that some private organizations are establishing medical schools. In River State, the former governor Odili has a whole medical school. You know, in the Southwest, where real education is their passion, you have Afe Babalola. You have these are beautiful universities, very beautiful universities. So we should go for the maximum production of doctors and nurses. But at times too we overemphasize doctors. We forget that we can't improve our health indices without paying attention to those that will take that primary health service to a higher level. That is the nurses, the CHUs, etc. So maybe to round this up is the fact that we should know that quantity translates into quality. First of all, we go for the quantity. Even if, as my brother Dr. Ngige said, that there are more doctors and we're this. If there are more doctors on this houses say, let's see it on the ground.
That's right.
Yeah, so are they there really where they're supposed to be? Are they being taken care of? Are they being,
Exactly. Now talking about them being taken care of, I don't know if Dr. Sadia is still with us.
Yes, I am.
Hello, Dr. Sadia, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. So now he actually, brought up a point, and I wanted to ask you about a lack of good rewarding system for hard-working manpower. Now, without this particular system, do you think whatever the government and whatever other individuals are trying to do to improve the health sector would actually work? Because recently we actually have, we heard a report of the NMA threatening to go on strike if the government doesn't meet some of their demands as well.
Yes. So I think, it's really difficult to train as a doctor. It involves so many years. And then when you finish, you want to be able to have a good place to work. You want to be paid for, all the years you've trained. And you also have family to support. So I feel not paying them salaries, not having good facilities or equipment to work, that can be very frustrating. And if you have a lot of doctors going, those that are left behind, the work is even more on them. So I feel this can be, if they can address that, at least even pay them the salaries on time. And those that are doing really well, there should be a reward system really to encourage them. So I think that would go a long way to reduce brain drain.
Dr. Alima, let me play the devil's advocate. Prof has talked about so much that needs to be done. What exactly do you think we need to do to begin to attract more Dr. Alimas back home? Are there chances that we can still bring you people back home?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. A lot of doctors, especially of Nigerian origin, when they hear the news, like security issues, everybody is coming in, they would feel very reluctant, especially about security issues. So a lot of people, NGOs, want to even come to Nigeria, let's say to do some surgeries or something, but they can't because, again, when you hear the news in Nigeria, so I think the first thing is if we can address issues around security that would make people feel comfortable to say, yes, I would get up and go to Nigeria and do it. So even now, if I'm coming to Nigeria, people are like, oh, are you coming? Why are you coming? It's dangerous, it's this, that. So I think if we can address some of those issues, that would attract people from the diaspora to come. And to feel that, again, when you come in, there's a lot of bottlenecks to stop you from, because even now with my registration, just because I've been in the UK for over 25 years, when I went to Nigeria to renew my registration, that was such a headache. And I couldn't even really do it because they're asking me I have to pay for all these years that I haven't been in Nigeria practicing. Wow. So I felt like, oh, I'm coming here to kind of help, but then I felt very frustrated. So, those kind of things I think need to be
addressed to just make it easier.
Yeah.
Okay, Prof. Now, where is the idea? Because I actually remember that there used to be an idea of a health development bank, which is actually a bank that will facilitate development of the healthcare sector. Where is the idea right now?
Well, when I was in the Ministry of Health, we brought that idea, and we believe, as part of what Dr. Halima has said, in addition to security issues that are threatening, maximum support and performance of the doctors and nurses, there is the financial security. So from the security, she mentioned physical security, that there insurgency and all this, and there is other security, that affects the doctors. For instance, we lost a doctor to Lassa fever in Nasarawa State just last week. So every year, virtually now, we lose doctors to some of these imagined diseases, hemorrhagic fevers, and much is not done to address that issue. So the other doctors will be saying, hey, come on, I'm in war front. So every doctor, in the real sense, when we go to the clinic, we're really in the war front because we are going to face somebody that has come with a complaint that I have problem with my existence. So what is wrong with him, we don't know. We double our hands inside this thing. We're trying to palpate, understand what is wrong with him, etc. What if he has Ebola or Lassa or Marburg and so on? So that absolute risk, is not being fully addressed. So doctors, even now, as I'm talking to you, some doctors in Nasarawa are trying to demonstrate because of the death of this doctor, the government is not doing what they're supposed to do, etc. So that aspect is there. Then the other issue is they say, okay, look, we are working, we are this, and if we die, we don't have any insurance. Doctors in the US are highly insured. Anything happens to them they are compensated, or their family very highly. So you don't even have any fear. It's like you are in the war front, So that is there. Then issue of say, okay, I want to improve. So many courageous Nigerian doctors go into private practice, and they will write proposals, provide a service that is not available in that area. They won't get support. But in the US or in many of these other countries, your degree alone is like your capital. You can use your degree to raise loan and so on and so forth. When I started my work a little bit in the US, I had everything because I'm an MD. They will bring you telephone, they will be asking you, do you need this, do you need card, do you need loan, do you need this, and so on and so forth. So that issue of so many doctors now, even the ones from diaspora, are coming back home and are saying, why don't we come and do what is happening in India, establish 4 5-star medical centers without even government involvement.
That's right.
And let's do that. They will raise this idea, they have a wonderful idea, they bring it, they don't get funding. And they will scatter and go back again and so on and so forth. Or some will come, they will be given land, some are not genuine, they will just come use it to get land, all this. So, but those who are genuine, that really do come, we believe if we have a bank or healthcare banking system, it will really work very well. Or another alternative is to use the National Health Insurance Authority. They will raise so much money, and they can put a special fund, on the ground that they can actually use to address this type of, ideas. So the capital that a medical doctor can give or a scientist can give is idea. We don't have building. I worked 40-something years now. I don't have any big building. I don't have any big business, but I have big big riches, which is just the idea. I can bring an idea that can transform and make things happen. But who will buy the idea? Who will fund it?
Thank you very much, Doctor. We have been looking at the issues of death of medical doctors in Nigeria and how that has impacted generally the health sector of our country. And talking to us this morning has been Professor Abdulsalami Nasidi, is the chairman of Rich Care Foundation and former executive director, ECOWAS Center for Disease Control. It's a pleasure to have had you.
My pleasure.
Share perspectives with us. And of course, we also have all the way from London, joining us via Zoom, consultant pediatrician working in the Royal Devon University Hospital UK, founder of Concerned Medics Foundation, an NGO that looks at innovative ways in supporting healthcare in Nigeria. I'm talking about Dr. Halima Sadia Gumi. It's a pleasure, Doctor, for having you join us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we want to apologize for eating into your work time this morning, but hey, we are doing it for the love of country.
My pleasure.
And we look forward to when you and your likes would fully have the necessary infrastructure and structure, to support what we do back home.
Thank you.